y'all, Christine Byer here, licensed esthetician for 20 years, and today I wanted to talk about how to choose your perfect microcurrent machine. And this may seem daunting, but really there's just a few things you need to look for in a device. Microcurrent is very forgiving, it is very safe, and you really can't mess up with microcurrent. So this is why I love it so much and why it has grown so much in popularity. I started specializing in microcurrent in 2003, and I have never looked back because it's just such a crowd pleaser. And you know, if you think about it, what face doesn't look better when the muscles are toned underneath the skin, right? Because the skin is attached to the muscle. And what else are you going to do with it? You know, you got to have microcurrent in your routine. It is the number one thing to have in your anti-aging arsenal as you age. One thing you really want to look for is longevity. Do you have a device that is going to last a long time? And I can tell you, I have clients who've had the original one of this CLAREBLEND. This is the one that I sell, but there are many on the market. This CLAREBLEND Mini, there's really nothing to break. It's compact. It's just very easy to travel with. It's no fuss, no muss, quick results. Anyway, you want something that is just well made. These are made in the USA. I had a client who went and bought, there's one that has two wands, and she snapped the wand the very first week and she's like, this is crap. And she was so mad. And I said, you know, I sell one of those, right? And she has had hers since 2015, the original one. They had like a different type of picture on here, and it had just like come all off, and it was just like the label was gone. So they might have a more sturdy label. They've gotten better over the years, but she used the crap out of that machine, uses it. Another thing you want to look at is the specs. So many devices won't show their specs. I mean, you have to look them up on the FDA website. And are they true microcurrent? Because you really want it to be in that 500 microamps range, depending on how tough your skin is. I mean, if you have really super thick skin, maybe a little bit more than 500 is going to be okay because you have more resistance to the current. But generally, if your face is prepped, meaning if you're very hydrated, you have a good hydrating gel on with no oil, you're ready to go, and you've got some minerals on there, you are conducting. So 500 microamps or less, everybody knows, or well, in the business, we know about the famous Chang study where they pushed microcurrent through mice skin, and they found that anything over 500 microamps started to plummet ATP. And ATP is the power that the mitochondria makes. It's our energy. Without ATP, we'd be in a puddle on the floor. And so that's one of the beautiful things, and why microcurrent works is because it adds energy to the skin. It makes the skin produce more energy, and that's where you get the thickening of the skin and a little bit of lift, and helps with any skin problem you may have. It starts to, like for me and my clients, it brightens spots, helps with fine lines and wrinkles, lifts. So what happens if you get over 500 microamps? And I would say if you're getting to milliamps, which is, microamps are millions of amps, where milliamps are thousands of amps. And what that means is you are missing the benefit of microcurrent, because 500 microamps or above, ATP starts to plummet. So it's almost like the skin is fighting off the current rather than accepting it and using it for good. You know, using it to brighten, to lift, to tone muscles, to do all the yummy, fun stuff that it does. When you start forcing too much current through the skin, it has an opposite effect. So I want to make sure those specs are right. Another thing to think about is frequency. Now, a lot of machines have just one frequency. I can think of a machine that kind of looks like a Mickey Mouse. I'm not naming any names, Mickey Mouse ears. I can think of one machine that kind of looks like Mickey Mouse ears that has a really basic sort of rotating frequency that every 3 seconds it goes through about 20 switches back and forth, but it will go positive, 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 negative, negative, negative. So it's really kind of like taking a walk, boring, walk, back and forth, boring, walk. So it's sort of the difference between taking a walk and doing circuit training, where you're changing it up all the time. and when you change the frequency. So if the frequency is the same and the body can acclimate, it's just a boring routine for your muscles. But if it's a randomized frequency, it's kind of like the muscles are like, what's coming next? This device, CLAREBLEND, they also make professional machines, and a lot of the pro machines have better, more advanced technology because they know that randomized, don't know what's coming next sort of aspect is really important for lift and a lasting lift. If we go to the gym and do the same routine over and over, i.e. like we're on a treadmill, boredom sets in and muscles acclimate. But with this device, it's always randomizing the frequency. So skin never knows what's coming next, and it's always the optimal workout every time you use it. Another thing to think about is ease of use. I mean, is it huge? Can you travel with it when we can travel again? Is it heavy? Is it clunky? This weighs this is about the weight of a deck of cards. If it's clunky and heavy and not fun to use, you're not going to use it. So microcurrent works when you use it. So that's what I say. Is it a device you imagine yourself using? Is it a device that you enjoy using? Does it zap you all the time? There's another device, also Mickey Mouse ears, that tends to be zappier because the voltage is higher. And so it's almost like getting snaps of static electricity on your face. I don't know if you live in the north and you've been zapped before, but it's not pleasant. And zapping on your face is way less pleasant. So you don't get that with this device because it's a lower voltage randomized frequency. So you're not getting that snap every 3 seconds or so. So none of those surprises. So that's another part of, do I enjoy doing this treatment? Will I do it on a regular basis? Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to use it. I mean, how many people have figured that out about microneedling? Microneedling gives amazing results, but it's pushing tiny needles into your face, and you can numb your face, but it's a big pain in the butt to numb your face, and it takes a lot longer. So how many people have started with microneedling and hated it and stopped? So this is my point. Machines, devices only work if we use them. So is it a device you can envision yourself using on a regular basis? And what I mean by regular basis is 3 to 4 times a week. And after a few months, you can play with it and go down to 2 to 3 times a week, depending on your age and your water levels and how healthy you are, et cetera, et cetera. But you will be using it just like exercise. Another thing is, how well does it get into the nooks and crannies? There's certain devices that, and I talk about the vectors. Now, vectors are used in professional skincare, so at the derm's office, at the plastic surgeon's office. They are vectors that help cut through areas of common aging, common facial sag. A vector would be coming straight up this way because that's going to counter this jowl. It's going to counter the jowls. A vector would be going up like this because it's going to help lift that jawline. A vector would be cutting right through like a heavy nasolabial fold. And the reason I tend to like these electrodes like this, these hard fixed electrodes, is they sort of double as a gua sha tool or like a Chinese scraping massage. So say you've got really heavy duty 11s and you're trying to work on those. Doing a simple erase technique, that's not going to really get in there and pull that muscle out like we need to. So let me show you this muscle, this procerus here. It tends to, sort of like an accordion, it comes down. As it comes down into the center, it bunches up, and what we're trying to do is undo all those repetitive facial motions that etch into our face over time and cause all these wrinkles. And so we want to do something like when I'm working on clients, I'm not doing erase mode. I'm getting in there and pulling those apart and working on that fascia and releasing it at all these different levels, because it's not, the fascia is like this 3D spider web. And if you're just doing the very top, you're not getting what's lower. If you're doing too hard, you're not getting what's at the top. So trust me on this. This is a very handy device, and this is why I love it so much, because it really gets into the nooks and crannies. And a lot of times it's more than just that one little move and gliding across the skin. You're digging to release a lot of that really stored up tension that causes those fascia fault lines and makes wrinkles etch into our face. I think those are the biggest things. How versatile is it? Is it the right amperage? Make sure that you're in around that 500 microamps range. Make sure you've got some randomized frequencies or something to change it up so it's not like, just taking a walk with the skin every day. Make sure that it's light and small enough where you can travel with it. You're going to use it. It's going to be simple. Once you find your device, use it. That's my biggest advice to you. Use it. Thanks for watching. Bye now.